Champagne. Today we're going to model the chair. Actually, we're going to model two chairs. This one and this one. I have a better reference image for both of those, and it is these two. Let's get rid of our Christopher Walken and jump in our scene. This is what we have so far. So let's start with a cube. Let me go back to the reference and kind of explain. What I'm going to be doing for this chair is basically breaking this down to basic shapes. In the beginning, I've never modeled anything like it before, so I wasn't sure how to start, because it has a lot of curves and it's very kind of almost organic. It's not box looking. It's not our walls where we just create a bunch of cubes and just went from there. So it's a bit more modeling, a little bit more advanced than what we've been doing before, which is great. So I'm gonna break this chair down to basic shapes. I'm gonna create a cube and then just kind of extrude from there and create and pull vertices. So let's go to Maya, create a cube, and kind of scale our cube down and create the seating area, and judging back to our character. Now what I want to do is I want to select our scale, our chair, go to show and view selected, so we have nothing but these two guys selected and viewable. And I'm going to turn on our grid. So starting from here, I'm going to begin. Now I'm going to subdivide the chair and create sections for the legs to extrude from, so I don't have to cut. And under subdivision width, height, and depth, I'm going to put in actually 3 here. No height, 1 for height, and 3 for depth. And I'm going to select all of these edges around. Make sure that I have nothing else selected, and I'm going to scale them out. I'm going to do the same thing for these two continuous edges. And make sure I have nothing else selected and all of my edges are selected, and scale them out. And these little knobs are going to be our legs that I'm going to extrude down. So let's actually do that now. So at this point you want to concentrate on basic shapes, very blocky. We'll always have time to go in and detail and refine our shape, but right now you just want to block this in as fast as you can with basic shapes. So let's extrude the legs down, and let me see how big they are. And they're very short, so maybe about maybe a foot, tiny bit less. Select the object, move it down, view selected. Okay, I'm gonna scale this chair a bit up and just kind of judge it by what our character is. And basically it's right here, it's about 3 feet. That's the chair, he sits down. So judging the scale of the chair based to our scale of the person inside the scene. And it's a bit big, so I'm going to scale him in. And still looks a bit big to me. Let me see the reference. Okay. Pull this in. And from here I'm going to select the top faces and extrude them up. That's going to be our sitting cushion. Maybe a little bit bigger. Now at this point, back to the reference, and I want to start extruding this area along and at the back of the seat. So let's get this out of the way. So let me see the reference again. It's from here. So I might have to subdivide it. Yeah. Let's insert an edge right here, because it looks like it starts here and then it starts there. Yeah. Now I want to select around these faces. I'm going to extrude these faces up. Make sure no other faces are selected, and extrude. And I want to deselect these two, and I want to extrude again. And now we have the basic of a chair blocked in. And scale wise, it looks pretty good. At this point. So I'm happy with the scale. Our character, its height wise, it's about 3 feet, so it's good. Now back to reference. I'm gonna start kind of shaping the seating area around it. So I'm gonna have to add a few edges around. One here, and I'm gonna add 3 in the back. Actually, I'm gonna add 1 here. If it comes around. See another reference. So it kind of comes up and then it curves and comes forward. There's a handle and then it goes back. It's a very curvy chair, so that's it's probably going to be one of our more intricate, more kind of tough modeling things we do, because everything prior to that has been very boxy. This is going to be a little bit more organic. So I'm going to actually bring this down a bit. Bring this one down. Bring this down. And this one is angled and back. Alright, it's beginning to take shape. Now I want to start creating this arch in the back. So for that, I'm going to go to the top view, view selected. Select the vertices from the top and start bringing these out. Kind of creating that arch. And I'm going to bring these guys in. Okay, that's looking good. Yeah, I like it. I like it. Back to reference. I'm gonna at this point I'm going to extrude the cushion a bit. So I'm kind of going through, and I'm not focusing on one area at a time. I'm just going kind of all over the place, you know, just bringing everything out at the same time. Extrude this out. This is going to be our cushion. Now, I think at this point I want to begin creating this slant and kind of getting the legs out a bit. So I want to start defining the actual shape and the slant of the chair. Right now, at this point, it's very boxy. So for this, there is a great tool. Well, let's delete that history. And now we're going to shape our chair and apply a deformer to it, which is a great way to uniformly scale and just create interesting shapes with the chair. So at this point we need to do that. And you make sure you're under Animation tab, you go to Create Deformers, and so I need to turn the View Select on, and now it shows up. And what we're going to do is apply 4 subdivisions all across the board. And now I'm gonna look at my reference and see how this is slant down. Also the top of the chair is wider than the bottom of the chair. And so now I'm gonna go back and make sure you right click on the lattice points and select those, because if you're over your geometry, that little screen menu will not pop up. Make sure you're selecting on the deformer itself. So now you can just drag select all the points and you can scale them out. You can do whatever you want with them. So I'm gonna begin scaling this out and kind of forming the shape of it. I'm also going to take this back and create this little slant in the back. And the way I'm looking at the chair now, I think it needs to be a bit smaller. So I'm going to scale it in and scale it in this way. And I need to scale, I'm actually going to scale this in a bit and scale out the top. And it's beginning to take shape. Now I'm going to go back and view, isolate selected, view selected, and at this point I'm going to delete history. And when you delete history, the modifier is gone. So right here, the FTD modifier, you won't be able to tweak anymore, and you don't need to. So once you have the shape, you can reapply the modifier, that's fine, but you want to delete the history on it, so you have just the chair and it applies everything that you've done to it. Alright, and at this point I have a little weird thing with my legs, so I'm gonna begin fixing that, because the modifier kinda skewed the legs a bit. Go to the top, and do the same thing on this outer vertices. Bring them in so they're more, there you go, more square. I'm going to take all of these guys and scale them in, not scale them in, move them in more. There you go, that's a little bit better. Now the chair is looking more like I want it to. I also need to begin to bring this up to create a little arch. There's a little curve going down. Now I know it's still looking a bit boxy, but that's gonna change once we apply smooth to it. If you quickly want to check how smooth it's gonna look, you select the chair and press 3 on your keyboard, and it's gonna smooth it out for you to give you an idea what it's gonna look like smooth. Now it smoothes out too much because we haven't it collapses some of the edges, we haven't done so, but it gives you an idea of where you're going. And kind of, you know, when you begin looking at the object too much and it doesn't look like where you want it to look, I used to kind of lose motivation because I was like, well, why it's not looking? I've spent so much time on it. So checking, making sure that it's going where it needs to go. Sometimes kind of, okay, you know, I'm on the right track. Yeah, it's looking like the chair. I like it. And oh, to go back, or also if you press 1, it's 1, 2, and 3. It goes in between the 3 different subdivision previews, just like for NURBS. Now you can apply it to polygons. It's a great shortcut. I'm also going to bring these edges down a bit. Move these vertices down. Actually, I'm going to select all of these, slant them a bit, go to the side, and actually I need to start curving this out more. Curved out, and there's a little indentation here, so I need to start forming these out. I'm actually probably will insert another edge. So my chair is beginning to take shape. Actually move these out. See what it looks like from the perspective view. Yep, it's looking good. Looking very good. Now I want to put another edge loop here. To make that curve more pronounced, and so I need extra detail. Here it curves and it kind of goes down to the leg, so actually bring this down a bit. I'm gonna pull these guys up. And actually I'm gonna move this whole chair a bit down. Always be checking the scale, just to make sure that you didn't rescale it too much, and still looks good. Alright, I'm going to check 3. Okay, looking good. Let me see the curves. Yep, that's a good curve going up here. And I think, let me see. Yeah, I think it needs a little bit more indentation, a little bit more arch in the back. So let's make that happen. Go back to the top. Select these vertices. Actually bring this in. This in a bit more. So now we have our basic shape in, so that's when you kind of go in and begin to detail the chair. And so, you know, at first it's all basic shapes. It's mass, it's form, its angle. It all goes back to the foundation, you know, the art foundation, the figure drawing. Alright, so let's create that arch more pronounced. Actually, I don't want to do that. I want to be selecting both of these so I can scale them together. Scale this out. And what I probably want to do is select all of these vertices and actually bring them in. Because I think they've been pushed back a bit too far, so plus it'll give me more of a cushion inside. So, and I'm only selecting on the inside. I'm not selecting the ones on the outside. I think on the outside I like how it looks. Alright, let's jump back and let's press 3 to see what it looks like, and it's looking good. Press 1 again. Now let's create our handles. Now I had to, yep, here we go. It looks like our handle that could be scaled in. Okay, so we need, there's a cushion that's kind of bowing out. There's the wooden handle, so that's cloth, that's soft. So we need to let's see if we can insert the edge. Now actually what I'm probably gonna do is select all of these faces on top, and extrude them. Extrude them up. And now I'm gonna scale them in. Scale them in. Making sure, yeah, we're gonna need to fix a few things. Yeah, we're gonna have to fix a few vertices, so let's do that now. So once you extruded and scaled them in, go back. There's a little bit of fixing that we gotta do. Make sure that there's no overlap in vertices. And there is one more here. Okay, now go back and we want to select the same faces again. We're going to extrude them up. It'll give us that definition of the wooden piece that goes around the chair. Extrude up. Oops. You gotta make sure that you don't select any more faces than you didn't intend to. Let's check again. Good. Extrude up. And then go back and then press 3. Yep, looking good. Now what we can do here is insert edge here and here to create that hard line when we smooth it. And yep, it's right there, looking good. Now let me go back. It looks like there's another little tiny extrusion scaled in, There is a little pattern here, a little circular area. Select our faces again. Let's extrude. And we're gonna scale it in again. Alright, what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna scale it up. Just for the time's sake, I'm gonna scale it up and bring it in and bring it down. There's still a little bit of things to fix, but we need to move on. Just for the time's sake of this tutorial, we gotta fix a few things here because it kind of created a bit too much. Also, looks like when you on the top area, we need to scale it in a bit more because it didn't do that for us. Let's press number 3. Looks like we need to put insert edge throughout here. And let's put another edge throughout here so it'll hold. And also let's put a bunch of edges on the bottom of the legs and on top. So what these do, when we apply a smooth modifier to it, it won't collapse our geometry. So press 3, and now it creates a little bit more hard edge. Now we also want to do the same thing here on this side. See how here it creates, let me get rid of the shading. Here it creates a little more hard edge, and here it doesn't. Same on the legs. We want to do that all over. And also now we're gonna extrude the pillow, the seating area. So go back to reference and just notice. And now you I think you got a hang of this. So I don't want to keep doing and pulling vertices because I watched a bunch of tutorials like this and it just gets boring. You know, you get the idea of what to do. So just you got the idea of how to begin the chair and what to do with the loop edges and how to keep detailing. So go ahead and finish off to your best ability what you learned and finish off the chair, and I will see you next tutorial. Okay, and this was about 30-45 minutes later. All I did was I fixed up, I ran into a few problems, so you guys didn't have to see me pulling vertices all around just for nothing. So all I did was I extruded this little area right here. I created the pad, and all I did was I selected the inner side and I extruded that up, and then I just tweaked a lot. That was a lot of tweaking. So if I smooth it, get rid of wireframe, that's what my chair ended up with. So I'm okay. I'm pretty happy with it. You know, could have ended up a lot better. There's a few problems. I think these pads need to be a little bit bigger. So I'll fix the pads, make them bigger. Just select all the faces and extrude them up. So there's a few things. You know, it's not perfect, but there's a few things that needs to be fixing. But you got the main idea of how to take something and to create from basic shapes and start defining. So now we just get back to our scene. And we can start placing where we need it. But we're gonna have to probably duplicate that chair quite a few times. And we'll also create a table. One of these chairs will be a lot easier than this organic one, because it's more it has a more defined shape. And we'll also create carpets. So and a couch and these little stands, little couch rests, a leg rest. So our next thing, we're going to create the chair and then the table, so we can start duplicating the chairs and the table and actually arranging our furniture around.